Hey, and welcome to the Dreppin' Stone podcast, a podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
I'm Kyle.
Kyle.
Hey, man.
So lately I've been going back and listening to books from my childhood in audiobook form.
Nice.
I know. It's a really interesting kind of way to not only kind of engage in some nostalgia, but also relive some of these books that like I read as maybe like a 10-year-old.
Pokey Little Puppy, Hungry Caterpillar.
One fish, blue fish, two fish, eight
The
fish.
classics.
Correct. Now, what I'm actually listening to is I'm going back and I'm listening to the Harry Potter series.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I'm doing basically like kind of a marathon. I mean, I'm not like binging it, but I'm listening to all of them.
Did that come out when you were 10?
I mean, no, I was younger than that, but like,
no.
yeah.
It's one of those rare times where I realize how much
you're
older I am.
You're not that much older. I mean, you're only like 10, 20 years older than me.
I remember being in high school when the first movie came out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first book came out in 96, 97,
Right.
something like that. So I was like primed reading age for it. I was in like just under 10.
To see where those those stories, how vastly popular they were, like so was I.
Right.
It just like at the beginning, the marketing was very much more of a, late elementary, early middle school age child.
Yeah.
But, I would have been in like probably like either 7th or 8th grade. So like it should have also been, but like for whatever reason, I remember it being way more marketed to like elementary school.
It was, yeah. I think the first like maybe 2 books was marketed toward elementary school. Yeah, for sure. I remember that. And then obviously as the books continued and got
darker,
older, yeah.
More mature themes.
But it's super interesting to go back and listen to these things because my recollection initially when I started listening to like the first one, my recollection was like, what? And I've seen the movies several times since reading the books the first time through.
Sure.
And a couple of years ago, I tried to go back and read through all the books again. It didn't take. So I'm listening to it. And the narrator, his name's Jim Dale.
Jim Dale.
Freaking fantastic, man.
Yeah. Like that's actually how I originally was introduced to majority of the stories. Yeah. I listened to them before the movies came out with my wife. So yeah, I know Jim Dale very well.
Dude, like I've listened to a bunch of audiobooks. This honestly is the pinnacle of audiobook for me.
Yeah,
like,
the way that he does the characterizations for everybody, like you're never confused of like who is he there? Like he does it so well.
Right.
Yeah, spotless.
Like, and everybody has their own unique voice, and it's very clear. Like he is a good enough voice actor that like they are the same across the 4 that I've listened to thus far.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't change.
No. Fantastic.
Yep.
So it's been a really cool experience. I just wanted to,
There was an announcement recently that they're going to redo those audiobooks and bring back a lot of the cast and stuff like that.
Like within the last week or so.
Yeah, it's going to be like a huge project or something to get everybody involved.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know how I feel about it because have you listened to like
because certainly you couldn't get like a Daniel Radcliffe or
I think they are.
But to play
like an 11-year-old
version of
that's
himself.
Kind of weird. Now that
how's that going to work?
I don't know. That's how that's going to
put a filter over it. I guess
maybe. But like every version of things that I've listened to like that, like there's an audio drama version of like The Hobbit. It's fine,
right?
But it's not this. Like this is listening to Jim Dale read these things. It's like just mind blowing.
Right?
It's that good.
Yeah.
So if you've
agreed,
I would recommend like if you've never listened to Harry Potter or if you've only read or if like it's been a while, go back and listen to it. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah, he does such a good job.
Yeah. You want to drink something?
Yeah. Continuing our pilgrimage through the summer of cocktails.
I love it.
The cocktail that I have selected for us this week is a bit of a Western themed.
Ooh.
It's the Revolver.
It's in a little bit of a dainty glass to be called the Revolver.
It's just a cocktail glass. It's a coupe.
It's a coupe.
It's a coupe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is one I came across. It's apparently a relatively new cocktail, cocktail. It's not that old.
Yeah.
It's kind of a riff on a Manhattan. But yeah, I've made several revolvers at this point in time, and I'm gonna tweak this one a little bit.
Okay.
Just from what I remember those being, I felt like there was a little bit of an element missing, and I'm hoping this gets it right.
Okay, well, let's go make it. I want to hear what the previous version was.
Yep.
And then I want to hear the tweak that you did.
Okay.
Okay, let's go make it. All right, drink in hand.
Cocktail made.
What is the specs on the original Revolver? Because I watched you make this, so I've seen what you did, and I know you're going to tell everybody.
Yeah.
What's the original Revolver?
Original Revolver. It's so this is a coffee liqueur featured cocktail.
Okay.
It's a bourbon base, coffee liqueur, and orange bitters.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the kind of the riff on the Manhattan. Manhattan is basically just a whiskey, sweet vermouth, and bitters.
Right.
Replacing one element. Then it
so
also
you're replacing the
sweet vermouth with coffee.
for coffee bitter or coffee liqueur.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then you flambe an orange peel over the top of it.
I saw that. I was concerned for my beard.
Ignite some, I bet you were. Ignite some orange oils over it, and then express that around the rim.
I saw you express it.
Yeah, gave you a good rim job.
You expressed yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the change that you made was you added a dash of Gran Marnier.
Yeah, a little splash of Gran Marnier on there. I think you could achieve the same thing with a different coffee liqueur.
Okay.
The coffee liqueur that I'm using is Mr. Black.
Yeah.
And it is stout.
Yeah.
And
it stands up on its own.
It's very coffee. It's very coffee forward, espresso forward, and little to no sweetness on it. And I felt like there was a touch of sweetness that it could benefit from. It was a very dry cocktail beforehand.
Gotcha.
Which you could probably also balance off with maybe a sweeter bourbon.
Sure.
The bourbon I chose for this one is the Woodford Double Oaked.
Ooh. How many ounces is that?
2 ounces there.
Okay.
And then 3/4 of an ounce of the Mr. Coffee.
Mr. Black.
Mr. Black. And then a couple of shakes of some orange bitters on there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And give that a shake. Pour it into your coupe.
Gran Marnier. Little just splash, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. The element that I felt was missing was just like a touch of sweet.
Yeah. So
beforehand, it was a little dry, and I've heard that I had tried it before with the coffee being Kahlua.
Yeah.
And that was too sweet.
Right.
Too much the other way. I've heard, I think it's Tia Maria is another one that I've heard is a really good solution for that problem because I think it has vanilla in it already. But this one, because you're already putting in the orange bitters, you're expressing the orange over the drink anyway at the end. I was like, let's just try a little Gran Marnier to see if that
round it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gives it the pop that it needs. Shake it, pour it, flambe the orange, give it to your friend.
All right. Well, I'm a friend and I've got one.
Hey.
On the nose. Ooh. It reminds me of, you ever had those like chocolate orange candy?
Yeah.
They normally, for whatever reason here, you get around Christmas. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just saw some the other day at the liquor store.
Yeah, like I don't.
Funny enough.
Why do those exist? But anyway, it reminds me of like how those smell or should smell. They
when you open up the aluminum and everything.
Yeah, it's like a chocolate orange with like orange something in it.
Right.
And boozy.
And boozy.
All right, I'm going in. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, this is also the first time I've made it with the Woodford Double Oaked.
Yeah.
To me, that Double Oaked already has like some darker flavors in it.
Sure.
A touch of dark chocolate and some coffee notes anyway.
And a bit of, not smoky, but like charred.
Yeah, a lot of oak, obviously. Yeah. And I just thought that would pair well with the concept to me of what the Revolver is, which is coffee, dark, kind of an after dinner.
Little rugged.
Cocktail. Yeah.
Man, this is hitting like all the dark saloon or like sexy cocktail bar kind of vibes. Or like you said, like an after dinner drink. We just had, a nice dinner out and like, let's just get a cocktail after dinner drink, nightcap kind of thing.
I could see Doc Holliday sipping on one of these. In this glass specifically. In the coupe.
Correct. In that chair right there.
For sure.
Big ass mustache.
Yeah. Like Val Kilmer.
Correct. Yeah.
Just to be specific. Yeah.
So it's not really Doc Holliday. It's just Val Kilmer that looks like Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
I'm a little, what does he say? I'm a little sick? Or I thought, what does he say to him? I thought you were a little sick. And he's like, I got better or something like that.
No, it's more or less like I may have been pretending to be more sick than I was, kind of a thing.
And he's like clearly like, bro, you look like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point in time. But yeah. But he had just killed old Johnny Ringo. Being a badass.
Man.
Love Tombstone. Oh my
so
gosh.
Good.
I'll be your Huckleberry. We used to say that all the time to each other growing up. Like we idolized that movie. That was like the movie of my like coming of age time period.
For sure.
Loved that movie.
What I really like about it too is that nice back end bitter that you get from the orange bitters and then accentuated by the Gran Marnier.
Right.
Feel like I can taste the coffee in it, but I don't feel like I can pick out the layer of the coffee liqueur. I think it blends really well with the bourbon.
Right.
But I can pick out that Gran Marnier. It's like coffee, bourbon, Gran Marnier. There it is.
Right.
And so you get Gran Marnier against the orange bitters, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, I like the essence of that this is a bourbon cocktail.
Yes.
It's fully flavored.
For sure.
Lots of, and the bourbon comes through.
Yeah.
It's like what we were saying in a previous episode about, is it a cocktail that can feature a specific bourbon? Like, I think this one can, and I think it'll change quite dramatically depending on the bourbon that you choose.
Yeah, because bourbon is a star here.
Right. Yeah. It is a lot of bourbon. So it's a boozy cocktail.
Definitely. What did you said you switched out for the double oaked. What did you use before?
I had tried it before with the Rabbit Hole High Gold.
Yeah.
And that was actually fantastic. That's actually like, I really like that bourbon for cocktails. It's because it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just bourbon. It doesn't lean in any one direction.
Sure.
So it makes a good mixer. In thinking of what this cocktail is and the different times that I've made it, I thought this double oaked would be perfect for it.
Yeah. I feel sophisticated holding this glass.
Yeah.
Drinking this drink.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's like rugged sophistication.
I know. It's like old timey Western sophistication.
It is. Like I'm wearing boots, which
fucking nailing it.
I occasionally wear these boots. I really like these boots, but I just feel like, I don't know, man.
Well, and it was when I found the Revolver, I was like, that is a cocktail I know that I'm going to love because
it's all the notes.
When the mood hits me, a cup of coffee in one hand and a pour of bourbon in the other hand is a great thing. They communicate so well together. The sweetness of the bourbon, the bitterness of the coffee, the roasty notes match well with the oak notes. Like everything just kind of communicates and like meshes together so well that I was like, that's going to be a great cocktail
for sure.
And so now at this point in time where it's like I've made it enough times that now I can start to
tinker with it.
Yeah, let's play with it. Let's try this and see what that does.
Yeah,
so great.
All right, man. Now that we've got a fantastic cocktail, what do you want to talk about this week?
Well, I wanted to bring your attention to something. So I started a thing this week.
Uh-oh. Should I be concerned?
No, not at all.
Do I have to make a banner?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I started to journal.
Oh, awesome.
And a fun element of that to me that we're going to talk about is penmanship.
As soon as you said that, I was like, fucker's going to talk about penmanship. Okay.
I enjoy it. I enjoy the art of calligraphy.
Yeah.
And in my journaling, I enjoy the looking back over the collection of written words from my own hand and what the font begins.
So it's not only content, it's flourish. It's
a little bit
quality.
It's a little bit of that.
Okay.
And at the same time, I recently just read a book.
Okay.
That you loaned me.
Yeah.
Called Escape into Meaning.
Yeah. Evan Pushak.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you had handwritten some notes.
I'm sorry.
Within the book.
I did.
That I had a wonderful time
trying to
dive into your mind to see what was jumping out at you, while I was also thinking about the points that were being made, and it was a really interesting process to try to.
I told you, hey, listen, there are notes here. Take them out, but please put them back.
Right? Yeah, no, I did.
Decipher what they mean.
I did. I only had to pull off a few Post-it notes to be able to read underneath a few times. And I'll be honest, I was able to decipher, I think, 90%.
Sure.
Yeah, I was able to get there.
It's that 10% that's
I don't know what's going on there. It's hard to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it's an interesting thing to me, penmanship.
Yeah.
Because did you grow up in an era where it was an important thing? Like, did you have to learn cursive?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's never been an option for my kids.
Yeah.
Growing up. Like,
and to be fair, most, I'm going to say modern kids, like that's not a,
it's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And I wonder why that is.
Honestly, I think it's just advent of computers and streamlining that. But I think it's also like one of these, like, why are we spending, at least here in our area, it's why are we spending valuable time teaching this thing kind of thing when like we already have a way of writing. So why would I learned to start writing cursive in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
Why would a 3rd grade teacher spend time doing that? I have a rationale as to why.
Okay.
But I think now it's more of like, is that something we actually need? It's just like a flourish kind of thing. No, we don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like any other art form for me personally, to which I do hold, obviously, in a high regard.
Right.
Is that I do think there is a point to it.
I agree.
And I think it's almost one of those things of like, especially nowadays, that it's almost one of those things that should be have a greater focus put on it.
Agreed.
Just because a lot of the things that are so highlighted in education, are not useful beyond that specific task.
But here is something that could be.
But here is something that could be, and something that you could also build upon. It's almost like home ec, how we don't have that really anymore, but like it's something.
But those are the skills that like are valuable.
It's valuable, and it's just a useful thing to have. Like I feel like we're at a point in time where if you don't have text available, are you going to be able to like physically write the thing?
I think too, it's about like when I think back to my third grade experience of learning how to write cursive. It's not just the artistic quality and the flourish and the loopy stuff.
Sure.
It's about slowing down and speeding up at the same time, like learning how to convey information in a bit of a different form and do so. Because like cursive, in my mind anyway, cursive is way faster to write.
Right.
Like everything's connected you don't have to pick up the pen. Yeah. Everything's connected. And so there's a bit of okay, I'm slowing down to practice the curves in this letter to then be able to speed up.
Right.
And make things a little bit faster.
Right.
So I think there's some of that too. But like think about and maybe your daughters, as we've talked about before, primarily do school online, but like most kids are like they can't type.
Right.
They hunt and peck kind of thing. And like I've even seen it in my job of like even adults. I could sit like right now I could sit across from you with my laptop and look you directly in the face and write as much as you wanted me to write.
Sure.
Like I would never look at the keys. And I think like proficient adults, or at least people who spend a lot of time around the computers, like that's normal. But for even students like your kids' age, that's not normal.
Right.
So for them, it's not a thing. And I think like to some degree, handwriting and penmanship in that way is kind of similar.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally agreed. Do you enjoy writing things by hand?
I do.
Like
it's situational though.
Go on further.
Okay. Do tell. Meaning like if I'm writing creatively, like if I'm writing a story or things like that, I would rather type it because I can type. I've learned that I can type far faster than I can handwrite.
Sure.
But like notes and things or like journaling or like even notes for episodes that we do, I handwrite all of that.
Right.
Not that it's not something that I want to save, but to me, there's a bit of I'm trying to more commit this to memory rather than just like let it flow out of me, if that makes sense.
Right.
That's kind of my thought process.
Have you ever given thought to your font?
Like the font that I type with?
No.
Like the font that I write with?
That you're writing?
Yeah, all the time.
In what way?
Primarily legibility, because I recognize, like you just mentioned,
right?
Like when I'm going for it, my mind is working far faster than my hand can write.
Right.
So then I think, at least this is my excuse. I don't know if it's valid, but that's where the illegibility comes in. Like I'm thinking and I want to get all this stuff out, and so I'm thinking so fast. And I'm trying to write all this as fast as I'm thinking.
Sure.
And so it ends up being illegible because I'm trying to think that.
Is it illegible to you, or can you always?
It depends.
Yeah.
it honestly, like as much as I don't want to admit it, yeah, no, sometimes it depends. Like sometimes I'll go back and read notes that I've written. I'm like, I have no idea. And I can figure it out through like context clues basically. But like a list,
right?
Like, let's say I'm writing a grocery list. There are times that I'm standing in the grocery store. I'm like, I have no idea what that is because I was writing the list really quickly.
Right.
But back to the font thing.
Maybe celery.
Celery?
Maybe ice cream.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's a bunch of loops and stuff.
It might just be beer. I'm not sure.
But like when I'm writing notes for other people, I'm a little more cognizant of like slowing down, and I'll write generally in all caps.
Right.
And it slows me down a little bit. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's far more legible.
That's my go-to. My own personal handwriting is always all caps.
Yeah.
I don't know why. At some point in time, I know in college when I was taking notes or something like that, it made more sense for me that way.
Yeah.
And I remember there was like a transition period of I'd be writing and some lowercase would pop in, but then it would go to all caps, and then I would forget, and I'm just sitting there listening, and it would go back to lowercase. But I don't know. I feel like uppercase for me was always quicker.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it kind of steamed from.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, especially when I'm writing notes for other people to read, as I do quite often, it's that right combination of it's quicker for me to write and it's more legible for people to read.
Right.
And I make this weird, I don't know if you do this, I make this weird distinction of like, let's say the word is apple. I'm going to write a capital A and a capital P, but my capital P is just a little bit smaller than my capital A.
Sure. Yeah.
So like that's distinguishing between, it's still all caps.
Right.
But like, oh, the capital letter here is just a larger A.
Sure.
And I think for whatever reason, that's just a little more legible for other people. But if it's me writing, my general go-to is, unlike you, I generally write in cursive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, generally, if it's for me.
Now that I think back on reading your notes,
yeah,
that was the case. In knowing that your script is personal and somewhat difficult to decipher.
No, you can say it. It's difficult.
Do you enjoy that though? It's kind of it's like your own personal.
Yes,
it would be more difficult for somebody to like to read your thoughts, kind of a thing.
I envy people like yourself who have really nice handwriting and who will like take the time to slow down, or maybe not because you're just proficient in doing that thing. But I envy people with great handwriting. Like I have people in my life that like their handwriting looks like it was printed, and I could watch them in real time write, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's my mom.
That is like so I envy that.
Yeah.
I've never been able to do that, so much so that I work with a woman who like has given me some books or some like websites. Hey, just do this, watch these people, and I've tried to do it.
Right.
And I can like I've set a goal for myself for the last like 7-8 years of like no this summer or this year
right.
You're going to improve your
apply.
handwriting. Yeah, and I have like the best of intentions, and just like I paved the way right to hell.
Right.
Like it just does not work.
Right.
And so like I envy people like that, and I love watching people with pretty handwriting.
Yeah,
like,
I follow a lot of people that do calligraphy on Instagram.
Or
it's just mesmerizing.
Even, I mean, we've been in situations together where like I've seen you sign your name, and like you just signing your name, not even thinking about it, I'm like, man, like that is, he's not even trying, and look how pretty that is.
Right.
Like I couldn't do that if I sat there. It is. It really.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that if I sat. I couldn't do that if I sat there and like tried for days.
Right.
I think the short answer is, not that I'm ashamed, but I'm always quick to, even like I did with you, like there are notes in there. You don't have to like, please don't.
Right.
There's a little bit of like, if my handwriting were better, you might be able to garner more understanding. You know what I mean? So no, like, I don't know.
That's what honestly where I got to with it is like in reading that book, seeing your notes and everything, I was kind of more like, I think that's actually kind of really cool and kind of the more interesting aspect of it, because I would say that it's not that your handwriting is chicken scratch, like awful stuff.
Right.
It's all like well formatted and kind of well
I've never
placed.
heard that with regard to my writing.
Well, it's just hard to read.
Right.
And I think that's kind of interesting, and it's like it just shows a handcrafted thought.
Yeah.
That this script was created by hand, and the author can read it and nobody else can. And it's like a like a codex kind of a thing.
And when you say that, like I've read books that have been like annotated by authors, or books that like include authors' notes, and like people that everyone would know, at least here in America, like Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
Like I'm not saying that everything he wrote was illegible, but like you're reading these people's handwriting in letters, in whatever. It's like, man, some of this is difficult to read, but is it?
Or it's like Da Vinci used to write shit upside down and backwards and stuff, so you had to hold it in a mirror and stand upside down on your head to be able to read it,
right.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, and so like I don't know, I kind of like, thanks, man, I appreciate that, because I've never thought about my writing in that way.
Yeah, no, I literally had that thought when I was reading, and was just kind of like, man, like that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like my handwriting is so specific, and I think anybody could read it and read every bit of it, and like there's a certain amount of like enjoyment that I get in writing the things, and like
absolutely. And
I probably like take way too long to write the 2 pages that I'm trying to do a day. I probably take way more time than I should, but like there is like an amount of design, and like I want to like think of the right phrasing and things like that, and then do the lettering as well as I can. I remember looking at your handwriting, and it would take me a minute. It was almost like solving a puzzle kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it became like a game. But then the acknowledgement of like, yeah, but this is like your thought, and I've got this like cool little codex into your brain on this thing that we're reading separately but together.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was such a cool concept.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So in that same kind of vein of what you just mentioned, it might take you 20 minutes to write 2 pages kind of thing. I envy that because it's the slowing down. It's the clarity of the writing. In 20 years, let's say your kids found that notebook. They could reasonably pick it up, read it, no problem. Dad's writing's clear.
Right.
And like I envy that because it's these are your thoughts. There's thought put into how that's put down on paper. For me to sit down and do that, first of all, it's like the way my brain works. To sit down for 20 minutes, if I think about, okay, I could write 2 pages in 20 minutes or I could write 6 pages in 20 minutes.
Right.
And I have 30 pages in me.
Right.
But I only have 20 minutes.
Right.
I'm going to write 6 pages.
Right.
So it's like that
I need to
maximizing.
get it out,
exactly.
yeah.
It's maximizing that thing. And I almost don't care whether someone else can read it. And to some degree, I don't even care if I can read it sometimes. Because it's like I need to get this out.
Like sometimes I do fall into that, like you just want to get the thought out, and so you start going faster. But I feel like I always jump in of like, I'll go back and read like, man, that was sloppy. Slow down, and I'll slowly start doing it again.
Yeah.
But there was that aspect of like, that's interesting.
It's so funny. Like you bringing this up is the 2 dramatically different perspectives on the same thing.
Yeah.
In that like you're kind of approaching it from an artist's mind of like, I also want it to look good.
Totally.
And I'm approaching it from like, I don't give a shit how it looks. I just need to get these thoughts down.
Even though it was never any kind of importance placed on it. Like I remember my mom would talk on the phone to somebody and would have a notepad and just write people's names and work on her penmanship, to the point that now like her penmanship is beautiful. Like her just writing anything is gorgeous. It's like her own script and stuff like that. My dad, when he was painting windows and stuff like that, he'd have to paint a lot of words and stuff like that, Merry Christmas or whatever. So he developed a very beautiful like flourish font for his stuff. And growing up, I was always like, shit, my stuff looks awful compared to both of theirs. Like I hope someday like I can get to a decent point with that. And it genuinely gives me pride at work when we make happy birthday cards and people will come find me and say, write a birthday card for me. I'm like, you got it. Like
$15.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the joke of like, Kyle, you should just take like home, 100 birthday cards and just go ahead and write them out and then sell them when we all need one. We'll give you $2 or $3. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such a cool thing, man. Like good.
Yeah.
Good discussion.
I mean, again, like I know the emphasis that I put on my handwriting and have always, and then reading your notes and seeing the complete different take on it was just a very like, it just scratched my brain of just like all the different aspects of it.
Man. You know what else is good?
What's that?
This revolver.
Yeah.
You know what else is empty?
Gone.
This glass.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Goes down quick.
It does.
But good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. What all right. We didn't do that one.
Oh,
like perfect time and place for a revolver.
Oh, yeah, we did. We talked about after dinner.
Sure. I think it is an after dinner. It's a dessert almost.
Ooh.
It's sweet. It's coffee.
Yeah, it's
after dinner.
It's after dinner. Yeah. I think dessert works too. I was just thinking like, is it sweet enough for a dessert drink? And I think it's a drink that you could drink with dessert. Like I'm thinking like a sweet, like
for sure,
chocolatey, like a pot de creme or something like a chocolate cake or something like that. Like, oh man,
a creme brulee.
Oh, that would totally
would work.
Yeah.
I mean,
vanilla notes,
scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I think it's nighttime.
Definitely.
For sure, it's dark out. It's not even if you had an early dinner.
Yeah.
Let's have one. No, like
it's
wait. It's a nightcap kind of a thing.
Yep.
I don't think it's a summertime cocktail though.
I don't either.
I think it's more of a fall to winter.
Yeah, it's a little. It's not bright. And when I think of summer cocktail, I think back to like a margarita or the Easy Street that we've done.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because that's bright and easy and refreshing.
Yeah.
This is not refreshing.
Yeah. This is like winter in Vermont or Colorado.
Sure.
You know, it's somewhere that's a little rustic.
Yeah.
Up in the mountains.
Yeah. We're gonna sit here.
There's enough booze in this; it'll warm you up.
Exactly.
You know.
And there's things that I want to sit and listen to the snowfall and contemplate.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
That's it.
But I think everyone should go make one right now.
Absolutely.
Because you need to try it.
Yeah.
On that note, you got anything else?
Nah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, we want to know, what do you think about penmanship?
Yeah. Are we making too big of a deal out of this? Or is it something that you think about? Or is it just like totally something that you have never thought about?
Listen, if you've got poor penmanship, you've definitely thought about it. If you don't have poor penmanship, you've probably thought about it.
And if you've got good penmanship, you've definitely thought about it.
Correct. So I think you've thought about penmanship at some point. Yeah. We also want to know, what do you think about the revolver?
Yeah. What's your take on it? Like, how do you kind of like add your little flourish on it?
Yeah. And who has the best mustache in Tombstone?
Oh, man, can't answer that. That's a whole episode in itself right there.
Sure.
4-hour rumination right there.
Easy.
In a room by myself.
Sipping revolvers.
Watching Tombstone over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
It's Kurt Russell.
It is Kurt Russell. It is Kurt Russell. I was like,
sorry.
Are you serious?
Sorry.
It's Kurt Russell.
Well, Johnny Ringo's got a great look in that one.
Yeah,
he's got the
no.
yeah.
He's
got a good one, but it's
Kurt
Russell, man.
Yeah.
That thing was gorgeous, and that was like his too.
Oh,
like
really?
I remember watching a thing about that. That like most everybody, not everybody, but most everybody in that movie, like 90%, grew their own
face.
Yeah.
It's Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he crushed it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, you can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's always one word, Drep and Stone, DREP and Stone. Come find us, like a thing, share a thing, comment on some of our things, and hey, we'll get right back to you.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to us and collaborate with us through social media, do that.
It's the lovely thing about social media. Makes
We're
that
around.
stuff real easy.
Exactly. We're around. We can make some things happen.
Yeah, maybe you got a cocktail that we need to, sample with you.
Yeah, send us a picture of it. Send us a picture of you making it or something like that, and we can try it as well.
Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy, like you would on a cocktail.
Totally. And we'd love it if you support the podcast. You can do so through our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/drepandstone. You can rate us wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one. You can save yourself a little bit of money if you go to flaviar.com, use the promo code DSP10. And finally, Kyle.
What's that?
You can support Drep and Stone by telling someone about the podcast.
It's such an easy gesture that is definitely the easiest way to spread the word.
Sure. You're at the local community pool.
Yeah.
And you see other adults lounging with their opaque cups.
Yeah, their water. What's the cup?
Receptacles.
What's
Stanleys?
The Stanley. Yeah, drinking that ice Stanley.
Yeah, we've all moved on from the Yeti, and now we're all on Stanleys.
Yeah,
yeah. And you see them, and you're like,
first,
that ain't water.
What are you drinking? Second, have you heard of Drep and Stone?
You haven't?
You got to go give it a listen.
How do I do that?
Well, just pull up your phone there, and whatever you're listening to, pause that.
Okay.
And if it whatever it is, just click over to the podcast
Look
section.
At these two mugs.
Yeah, they're great. They do really fun stuff. They're doing all kinds of cocktails right now for the summer.
Well, I love cocktails. You should see what's in my Stanley.
Just water, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's in yours?
A revolver.
Okay.
Oh. This is Texas. This ain't Texas. Oh.
And I'll hold them.
And now thirdly.
Yeah.
Watch me do this can opener.
10 out of 10, my guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note.
Hey, buddy.
May your glass ever flow.
And your ass never show.
Are we going to Coupe Glass clink?
Hell yeah. I bet it'll be a glorious clink. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. I'm a Midori kind of guy.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I knew it.
I don't mind Midori. Give me a...
I just bought a bottle today.
I saw
That's
it on the
why I
counter.
said that.
What's it, a Midori sour?
Yeah. That and a Chambord sour were very influential cocktails. Probably legitimately my first cocktail ever.
I could see that.
Was a Chambord sour. What's not to like? Sweet and sour mix and raspberry liqueur. Can't beat it.
Pull that.
No. Oh.
Well, pull it to the left. No, back to the right. No, not to the left.
No.
Don't be sorry. Like, it's gonna achieve what we need to. Can you drop the left one a little bit?